Our agency.
D&D Bristol.
All right, good evening and welcome to the City of Sunbury Council meeting. It's July 5th, 2023. It's 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor St. John,
Here.
Mr. Capel,
Here.
Mrs. Cooper, here, Mr. Martin,
Here.
Mr. Ghost,
Here.
Mr. Neff,
Here.
and Mr. Grumney.
Here.
So I'm present.
Good evening, and we did have a meeting on June 21st, 2023. The minutes are in your packet. Do I have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Martin.
Yep.
Second by Councilwoman Cooper. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost.
Yes.
7 yeas.
All right, we're on to the visitor section. We have no scheduled visitors. We do have a few visitors that are going to speak with us this evening. When you come up, if you can limit it to 3 minutes, and please state your name and your address, and council, you have our attention. Who would like to go first?
Mark Adams, 144 Otis Street, and Michael Bowden, 174 Harrison Street. We come here tonight to bring up the issue of the street that comes off of Otis Street, which I believe is known as Pizza Alley. It was vacated, I believe, as 96 part was vacated, so it didn't go all the way across to would that be High Street. We're asking that the city council look at it and vacate it even more to the west. There's only 3 properties, or 2 properties, and another property that need access to that street. And the issue is that we have too many people that drive through there thinking it's a through alley. And I will say for me, driving to my property, tearing the yard, I've had to put up stakes and trespassing signs. So it's a security camera trying to catch those people that are doing it. And I just would like to get that stopped, so I believe the city could vacate it and move it more west and put some type of blocking device so people cannot get through there and make it just a street for those 3 properties and would resolve the issue. Now, as far as the condition of the street, it's also horrible. I've lived in my house for 11 years now, and I've asked the city repeatedly to do some type of maintenance, and nothing's been done. We've gone through level 2, level 3 snow emergency routine. The snow plow has never touched that street for 1 drop of salt. If we're going to get out there in level 3s, we got to shovel it out. So I just want to bring this all to your attention and hopefully resolve the issues. Yeah, snow removal is a high priority. It's just it's a pretty steep street, so there's a lot of ground to cover, but we have to get out. And that's our only access is that street. And Second Park, it's his only access out of this driveway. So we want to make sure that it gets graded and taken care of. It's kind of a mess right now. And I've been emailing council for found that in 2015. And we made some headway with some council members. The last time it was Stone, I think. Dave Martin was able to get settled down that which is street really. But that's been a year and a year. We'd like something to be addressed. And like I said, we've emailed council, we've emailed mayor. We've got streets people looking at emails, sending stuff back and forth, and we've never gotten a clear response at all.
Thank you for your comment. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We will get back to you. This may be new news for the majority of council members. I know you said you emailed council members. I'm not sure if you emailed everyone and if everybody had the context for that. So we're going to have staff provide a report for our next meeting, get back to us on their recommendation. If we need to, we can have individual council members or myself meet with you to make sure that, we come up with a win-win solution here.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Barry, come on up.
Barry Bennett, 5401 Plantation Road. I have 32 items that shouldn't take more.
Taking it easy on us finally.
A couple of real quick things. I noticed on tonight's agenda is something involving the new building for the police and having no bids. I just wanted to share that I'm having the same issue with my new building. Nobody wants to bid. The ones I have gotten are almost double what they should be. So I'm just throwing that out there. You're not alone. Yeah,
Thank you.
apparently everybody has too much work to do right now. I don't know what the deal is. Next one is parking. We all know about the parking issue. I was just wondering, because I was watching this during July 4th event, that there is some parking available where those two buildings on the corner have been demolished. Even before we get the third one down, there is some area there that maybe we could put to use in the interim. So again, I'm just throwing that out there because with the new coffee shop now open, there are times during the day where it's a real problem for everybody now. And I don't know if that's possible, but if it is, it would be helpful. Along those lines, I want to get council's feedback or at least put the bug in your ear on some kind of bike racks on the square. These kids are leaning their bicycles up against my windows. And at $2,000 a window, that's not going to fly for too long. I think if they had someplace else to put them, they would. I was talking with some of the other owners, Jennifer from the antique shop along there and my tenants. We're thinking even on tree lawn in front of the administration building might be a good spot. I don't know if you can put them on the sidewalks or if you want to, but I don't have a solution for that, but hopefully council has more experience with that kind of thing than I do. It is an issue that eventually we're going to have to figure out what to do with. I just wanted to mention real quickly the high curbs along Granville. The last couple of events, I have watched some elderly folks have some real trouble with those.
I witnessed that too.
I don't know if they can be lowered. It looks kind of like the brick has sunk over the years, is what the issue is, but I'm not throwing any solutions out, but it is an issue that you might want to look into.
Okay.
Very quickly, along the roads program, there is an area of East Cherry, up from the grill towards 37, where there are several dips in the road, where it looks like some boring that's gone under the road for gas or water or whatever has caved in and it's sunk. You could call them speed bumps perhaps, and they do that, but it's just getting worse and worse and worse. I don't know if anybody's aware of it, but
Where are you talking specifically about that? Where I heard you say Cherry, but which grill and
from the Sunbury Grill to the traffic light at 37, there's 3 or 4 dips in the road. I forget the name of the road where the old church used to be. Yeah, it's right out here. Right up this little stretch right here. There's a couple of places where there are some, if you drive it, you'll know.
At your liberty.
And last but not least, I just wanted to let everybody know, of course, you were all there, that the power system repairs we did to the pedestals on the green worked. Everything's working just fine. I'll talk to the events committee about this some more, but we had one truck on the generator. It was a silent generator. And the only reason it was on a generator is because we did not contact them ahead of time and let them know how much cord they needed to bring. So it looks like it's working. Good job.
Great. Thank you.
just a couple of points. Parking on the 2 properties to the side. One thing we were trying to get done before Sizzle is the removal of the last building. And where do we stand with that?
So I've reached out to the asbestos contractor. That's one of the things we need to do is get the inspection and the removal. So he is putting together proposals for me. He's the same firm that did the other two buildings, so he's very aware of the building itself. So that's where we stand in terms of that. That's the first thing that we'll need to do. Once that's done, again, we've teed up we do have a bid for the demolition. It's on his schedule. He's just waiting to hear word from me that it's asbestos free. We'll have to remove some documents that are in there as well, find another location for those. So there's some stuff that still needs to be done, but we're still moving forward.
On that, maybe we can have staff recommend whether to have a stopgap solution with parking. I know I've definitely seen an increased demand on parking on this side of the square, the southwest, I guess, with the coffee shop. I think that's good for business. It's probably tough on residents, and that's also where currently the Ohio to Erie Trail, typically the bikers are riding up and down there as well. So if there is a bridge solution, literal bridge, but before we put in the long-term solution, maybe we can evaluate those. Bike racks, I totally agree. The bike racks that we do have seem oddly placed. I'll say on the one park that we put in over here, those bike racks are kind of going to nowhere. I've actually leaned my bike there for a second just to catch a breath, but not to go to serve or go to Firehouse Tavern or anything. I think we do need to look at that. The other reason I agree with Barry's recommendation is the trail survey that we did a year ago. That was actually one of the top recommendations, was to look at putting in bike racks around key locations, and I think we should continue to look at that.
So we did get some grant money to do that, and Amber.
We have the grant money, everything's approved. The Board of Health sent it back to me. We're good to go. So I just need to get them purchased, ordered, and they're coming. There's 4 of them.
Okay.
So we have them, they're coming.
Okay, great. We may want to look at 4 more for next year and 4 more the year after, because I think the traffic is going to continue to pick up. And then on the brick, I don't know the answer to this, but I also agree that it's steep. I assume there's some historical value to the curb. We aren't going to replace it with just standard poured concrete, brushed concrete. I think that's maybe slate or something as the curbs. I mean, it seems historic to me. I do agree that the street on the tail ends or on the sides dips down. We want to preserve it historically, but also I don't know we're going to be able to bring it up to ADA standards, but there's got to be something that some other municipality has done to alleviate that, because painting them yellow isn't stopping people from tripping, in my opinion. All great suggestions, Barry. Thank you. All right. Any other visitors like to speak? Come on.
Good evening, council. I've been here before, not for the council, but for the parks. I guess that the
events.
Yes, the events committee. Yeah. My name is Jordan Kaczynski, 123 Bigelow Drive, and just visiting, just an observer. I would just say our family moved here about a month ago, and yesterday was just fantastic. My kids, all 3 of them, my 2-month-old and my 2-year-old twins, but specifically my 2-year-old son, he was just thrilled. So it's wonderful to be part of the community. It's wonderful to see just so much intentionality around the city, and it's just fantastic to be here. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Would any other visitors like to speak this evening? All right, we are on to committee reports. Mr. Ghost.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, earlier this evening, we did have our monthly parks meeting, and again, we had J.R. Smith discussion. Still more planning going on there. We had 3 different revised layouts presented by CT, and it's without the amphitheater, and we sort of agreed on this one here. I'll show you a picture, and I'll pass this down for you. So we have a nice robust entry plaza here with a flag here in the center and the pavilion. So that's the first thing you see when you come down the walkway there, and the splash pad's been separated along with the playground slightly. It's a little bit more separation involved. And we have some entry arbors here and we're gonna add some swings. So that's essentially what we agreed on. Now we just have to come up with our funding plan and some more cost estimates.
Tim, did you say there is a splash pad or did you take that out?
Yes,
Okay.
splash pad, yes.
Can we turn up the volume just a smidge?
We removed the amphitheater concept is what we did on
Okay.
since the last meeting. And let's see. Oh, the other big item we're looking at now is changing the system. We originally looked at a circular system, recirculating system. That's a lot more expensive. I went to
For the splash pad specifically?
yeah, for the pad. So Vortex put together, they actually installed the Gahanna pad. It's been there for 2 years. So I went to their site tour a couple of weeks ago and found out that the cost about $600,000 for a recirculating system for about 3,000 square feet. But if you go with a freshwater system, half that cost roughly. So we have to do, CT is going to do some cost analysis in terms of water usage with the utility Delco and see if that's still a better bargain. So still some more work to do there. We have another touch base meeting in a couple weeks to help drill that down. Matt Simpson, we had a meeting with Matt Simpson, Preservation Parks. They got a ribbon cutting for July 15th for the trail. I plan to attend that. And grant assistance possibilities. Dana presented some funding options for us with regard to how we take a piecemeal approach to installing and building J.R. Smith. That's kind of what we're looking at. And Daryl presented the sample donation policy, first rough draft. So we're looking at how to pursue donations as well. So it was a good meeting. I think that's all I have. Did I forget anything?
I don't think so. I think you hit it.
Can you pass, where are you passing that
I'm
down?
gonna pass this down to you guys.
Yeah, I think.
Oh.
You can-
Picture.
I have mine.
And right,
Oh, okay.
Oh, you got it. Okay, well, we can pass it.
it has a red number 3 circled here.
The other thing we talked about too is bringing the sidewalk in. If you look at some of the other ideas, like on 2, there's 2, all right here. Right here, how the sidewalk's a little closer to the area. Well, for the third option, we're talking about bringing that sidewalk. It's on the outskirts and we're talking about moving it in closer as well. I can't figure out what page it is, but somewhere. Anyways, yeah, bringing this sidewalk kind of in closer to the, we don't want people walking through the pavilion every time they want to get to a splash pad. We want to kind of make a roundabout, because if you're in the pavilion, you don't want a crowd just constantly perusing past.
Good feedback. Great report. Anything else, Mr. Ghost?
That was it.
All right, Mr. Grumney.
He did an excellent recap.
Thank you. Mr. Capel.
All right, we did have our monthly services meeting just before this meeting. One of the things we talked about was we are looking for a Safe Streets for All demonstration planning grant. Basically, this is looking for $150,000 to develop a comprehensive safety action plan targeting basically how to make the streets safer. What a safety plan for the city would look like based on existing data, traffic data, police data from pedestrians, from traffic incidents. One of the highlights that I picked out in what was presented this evening, there were a total of 289 crashes reported in the city of Sunbury from 2018 to 2022, which included approximately 20% of injury and fatality crashes. So gives you kind of a baseline of where we're starting from right there. We also talked about fiber updates. Daryl presented some really interesting maps outlining kind of where fiber already exists and what a potential backbone plan would look like, where it would give us kind of the initial structure to sort of get started down the road of potentially leasing out or providing fiber potentially to everywhere in Sunbury, but starting with kind of a backbone skeleton initially. As Mr. Bennett identified correctly earlier, we didn't get any bids on the renovation project. So we're looking for additional feedback from potential contractors and looking at what our next steps would be. As of right now, we are not changing our plans for the bond ordinance. It's still on the agenda for tonight. So more to come on that. The Sunbury Estates trees, Daryl made a few contacts in the estates community, including one of the administrators of the Facebook group over there. So there will be more to come on that. And then finally, Dan reported that the kickoff meeting's a week from today for the Walnut Creek Stabilization Project. So that'll be a great one to get started out of the way. That's all I've got.
All right, great update. I was just going to add one thing on the bids. This may come as a shock to some of you if you did not know. We received no bids for the facilities update project. Surprise. There's a lot of demand for projects out there right now, especially large municipal projects. This is a small municipal project, and we did have interest. We're going back and doing a post-mortem, if you will. Probably not a good term to use, but trying to figure out what went wrong, what we could have done better. And the reason we're leaving the bond ordinance on is it does no harm to let this ride and die at the end if we need to. But if we kill it now, then we won't be able to resurrect it in time, if that makes sense. So we will not issue bonds without a project. I wanted to make that very clear. All right, with that said, Mrs. Cooper.
Yes, we had a quick zoning meeting on June 26th where we mostly approved minutes from the year. Because we were behind on a minutes approval, but we also did a couple minor lot splits. I was thinking, didn't we ask Alex to include a portion of the zoning report in our council packets? I feel like there was, do you remember that, Daryl? I'll have to go back and look. I know there was like a couple of new things that he had added that we asked to be put in our council report, but now
I can get it in the next one. I do have a short little bullet point on where we stand with zoning permits, but yeah, I can incorporate the packet for the rest.
And I can look back in it and see, because I think he just added some new things that we thought were interesting. And I think that council would find interesting as well.
Yeah.
And it would just be in one of our packets because we only have one zoning meeting.
Yep.
So, quick meeting.
Anything else?
No.
Mr. Martin. Report. Mr. Neff.
Nothing to report.
All right, great. We are on to the police report. Would you like us to read it? DC Wade, you've had a long weekend, long week, actually. I'll highlight, I might ask you to come up and speak to one item. And that's around the vehicle thefts and break-ins. And that's the tough one, right? But I also want to start out with great job, especially before and during the parade on traffic control. I would say you did as good of a job as you possibly could as a force, and all the other first responders with pedestrian control. That is such a tricky situation, but I think you did a great job, and we're always looking for ways to improve. So thank you. If you could hit on the vehicle thefts and just some of the activity that we've seen over the past week and a half, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, first, just echoing on the parade specifically, we wanted to shout out specifically to Dale Wampler, Andreas Dominguez, Wesley Hirschberger from the wastewater plant, as well as Ian Compton from Street Services Department, stepping up to assist with the blocking of roads, which freed up officers to get into different areas which are higher travel, more contentious. And we have a debriefing meeting with civics next week, as you said, always striving to improve. So theft of motor vehicles, stolen vehicles. We had 2 pursuits. 2 of our officers had encountered stolen vehicles from Columbus as they'd come into the area to commit more crimes. And the officers had thwarted that. But the 3rd one, they had snuck in down South Columbus, and they actually interrupted them in progress on that one. They were able to get to a couple of the vehicles that were left unlocked. I don't know what else we can do to try to tell the community to please lock your cars, make your belongings not visible. It goes without saying. And then last night, I was out with them after the fireworks, and I'm up in one of the areas that were stolen from, and there was 2 cars sitting there with the windows rolled down and items laying in their seat. So again, we're not saying that, you know, let's just not make it easy for them. The more difficult you make it, the more they decide to move on to another area. So we have been working with Delaware County, Westerville, Genoa, pretty much all the agencies, as well as Columbus, the State Highway Patrol, and identifying some of these issues and trying to work. It's never ending. This has been going on since 2019. This is just more of an uptick here lately. Summer, kids are out of school and deciding to steal vehicles as young as 8 and 12. And some of the adults overseeing these kids, knowing that they don't get into trouble. So, or as much trouble as an adult would.
I need to add some things. So I follow social media a little bit, and some of the things that I've read on there disturb me when we talk about root cause. And I know these are emotional arguments. This made the news, I think twice over the past week. This is before the 4th, and this is because of the growth, or this is because we put in Sunbury Point, or this is because we have too many gas stations, or we're next to a freeway. I can tell you that is not why. That is not, none of those are the reasons why. The reasons are why. And what we're finding, these are kids that live in Columbus that are stealing cars, and they draw a line on the map. They don't say, hey, I want to get to Sunbury. They go to Westerville, they go to Genoa Township, they go to Galena, they go to Sunbury, because it's a straight line. And they may pick up 2 or 3 cars on the way. Thank goodness. The other night, they had actually stolen cars in other jurisdictions. And our officers patrolling 3rd shift, the most dangerous shift, encountered these guys. They basically dumped the cars in Sunbury. We recovered them, Sunbury police, and they all jumped back into one vehicle. And sorry, I don't want to pull the curtain too far down here, but we're calling for backup for other jurisdictions. I'm just telling you this, we are going to chase bad guys out of Sunbury. We will do that every time. We will support our police, we will support our residents, but gosh darn, man, you have got to lock your car door. These guys aren't going up and smashing out the windows. They are opening car doors and stealing things, including the car. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It has to do with protect your property, look out for your neighbor. The guys that we initially pursued in Sunbury Point was from a concerned resident saying, hey, I think we got something going on, right?
Yes. One of the tips come from one of the residents at Sunbury Point at 7:30 in the morning on a Sunday. The individuals have been out all night breaking into other areas in the county, and they were, and I'm assuming, finishing their route here when we received the call, and Plummer responded immediately, Officer Plummer, and thwarted that. As they were out trying to get into cars, they ran back to the car, and at one point they actually, you can see it in the media release, wave at Officer Plummer. I will say it is not a Sunbury thing. It's not specific to Sunbury. It's not the fact that, I'll just echo what you said, in 30 years of my experience, it didn't matter where I was in the county or what jurisdiction you were in, this happens. Whether you're at Zumbizi Bay, then Wyandotte Lake, whether you're at Sunbury, whether you're at Delaware City, it don't matter whether you're a state park. These guys are trolling everywhere. And one of the suspects, one of the things that were taken from me in the media was they Google 5-star residents or 5-star neighborhoods. That was said by a suspect. You know, that's what they would do. Try to find the areas to go to where there's the most vehicles and most bang for their trip. That doesn't mean that's the only place. They're opportunists. They're going to go wherever they can where there's large amounts of cars and try to capitalize on it. And in reference to the pursuit thing, that is obviously something now that is in the hands. It's an ebb and flow through the years. Obviously, pursuit practices now, 30 years after I have been in the business, is different. And we have reevaluated things. Our policy is restrictive, but we will engage as long as the public, as we can assess the situation. As I said to the media, the officers do not want to be in these pursuits, but if they are in this pursuit, they will constantly evaluate the situation. Are you chasing somebody for a minor misdemeanor? Are you chasing somebody for a attempted homicide? What are we don't know. And when it's a stolen vehicle, there's a reason why a criminal uses a stolen vehicle. It's anonymity. What other crimes have they committed? I don't want you to know because I don't want you to know who's in the car. Well, I can assure you from leaving the sheriff's office, one individual in an apartment complex yelled out to a group of young males, later found to be out of Columbus, to get an expletive away from my vehicle. In return, he got 14 rounds from a 9mm fired into his apartment. So personally, I've been with these vehicles where these individuals that are running as young as 13, where handguns are falling out of their pants. One of the ones we had here that had crashed over off of Miller. Stolen handguns recovered. So these individuals do have the potential to be violent. So if we disengage from a pursuit, of which we had to on a couple of times, and these individuals go out and take a life, where do you do that measure? You know, so it's a tough job in what we do. We're paid to do it. We will do it, and we will do it responsibly. So if there's, you know, we just can't reiterate more for the community. If you see something, let us know, because you don't know the potential of violence that's there. It may just be a wave. It may just be a wave of one finger and take off running, or it might be 9mm rounds coming back into your apartment. You don't know. That's what we're paid to do. Call us and we'll respond appropriately.
Any questions for DC?
I just want to say thank you. As you said, it's not an easy job. Also, I thought you represented the city very well in the news. I saw you in there getting interviewed. So thank you to you and all the officers for keeping us safe. So thank you.
Yeah. I think everything else is in the report. Any other questions? Do you have any?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We are on to the administrator's report. Mr. Hennessy.
So I'm just gonna raise two things quickly. One is, we have hired a city planner. She is she's completed the background check. She's currently going through the drug screening portion of it, but we're optimistic that she'll get through that as well. So our tentative start date is July 17th. So I'll be happy to have an additional person on staff to kind of help with all the things that are going on in the city. The other thing I'll mention is in the preliminary packet that I gave you on Monday, there is one significant alteration to that. And I told you I'd let you know when there are significant alterations. We moved the two resolutions regarding annexation to ordinances, and you have in front of you the updated ordinances. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later, but just want to let you know that that's been reflected in the agenda that's in front of you. And that's it.
All right. Thank you. We are on to the engineer's report. I'm sorry. Were there any questions for Mr. Hennessy? I'm sorry. All right. Mr. Whiting.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mayor. I'll go through this. You've got the report here. I'll go through it relatively quickly. Fallen Heroes Trails in the final stages should be complete soon. The reservoir park, we had this issue with the dam issue. That's gotten resolved. We know what we need to do. We've started on those plans. Intend to combine those plans with the park plans in order to get it done in time. Well, it makes sense to do it regardless, but also assist us in getting it done in time to meet the requirements of the NatureWorks grant to have it done by the end of the year. We do have the kickoff meeting for Walnut Street this a week from today. Little Walnut Creek Interceptor is still proceeding. The Safe Streets for All citywide safety plan that was mentioned earlier, we'll have that submitted on the 10th, and Mr. Mayor, it is 1 year that the report, but Bob will have that report done in 1 year or less. Yeah, okay, great. Confirmed that. So, thank you. Yeah. Stormwater utility, we have a meeting with the Soil Water Conservation District tomorrow, Daryl and I, to talk about some specific issues, but we'll also go over generalities, I'm sure.
The mayor has signed the street improvement agreement with OPWC this afternoon, so that will take off relatively soon. Ravines at Meadow Ridge, we had a little glitch. The alignment that was provided to the developer did not match the alignment that, even though they were assured it didn't match the alignment that they're going with. We had a meeting about that today, and we believe we can adjust site plan to match the right-of-way plan where it was deviated from the original, from the plan that they got. Now, it won't be a major change. I'm not sure if we'll need to take it back here, but Daryl and I will let you know what goes with that. I did talk to Joe Thomas. I talked to the developer today, and they're okay with it. Since it's on a future phase, even though they're getting ready to submit that this week, they'll hold up on it, make that minor change, and we'll move forward with that.
Just so we're all clear, Ravines at Meadow Ridge is on the far western boundary of the city. Sunbury Parkway bifurcates. The development has units on both sides of the road, and the roadway or the parkway shifted to the east by about 50 feet or thereabout.
Right.
And there were already tight right-of-way lines and easements and setbacks and all those things anyways, but it sounds like we have a path forward.
Well, thankfully, it shifted more on the southern end, which they haven't gotten their permits yet for. The northern end is okay. We're not going to have to make any changes there. They're not going to have to make any changes there.
Right.
The apartment complex, the Romanelli apartment complex, I did get those plans last month, and they have been reviewed and returned on the first submittal, including all the sets of plans. They were did a pretty good job. We checked them for specifically and more consistently for zoning this time than we normally do, or more intricately, I should say, due to the nature of that project. And should have a new submittal in the next month, and I'm guessing they would be constructing yet this year, assuming they get their issues taken care of. Not a whole lot of change in the private development projects. They are all continuing to move forward. Eagle Creek has not started yet, but the rest of them are under construction.
Looked like Eagle Storage is broken ground. Is that right? See some,
Yes,
some
yeah.
dirt movement over there.
Yes,
A lot of fill dirt.
yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to thank CT and thank council for this year's streets program. The reason I haven't done this yet is because I honestly wasn't sure the state budget was going to pass, but it did. And we got the paperwork signed, and we're going to start nailing down dates. But this is the largest street program we've ever done in Sunbury history. It's almost $1 million. Thank you for your investment in safe streets and clean streets and pothole-less streets. This is going to be a big one. It is going to be disruptive, to be frank. It's going to be Granville, Miller, and all the animal streets, I'll say. So like Chipmunk et al. So thank you, CT, for getting this turned around and staying on top of it the entire way. And council, thanks for your investment in safe infrastructure.
Thank you.
Right. We are on to resolutions. We only have one resolution here. It's a first reading. We're going to need to pass this tonight. This is a resolution number 2023.18. Resolution authorizing the city administrator to enter into a non-disclosure agreements for economic development purposes on behalf of the city of Sunbury. Mr. Hennessy is going to talk, and if there's anything he hasn't covered, I'll fill in the blanks.
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor. So you have a document in front of you, basically authorizing the city to enter into, as the mayor said, non-disclosure agreements for economic development purposes only. So as we've talked about, I think in the strategic planning session, we talked about the importance of diversifying the city's economic base. One way to do that, obviously, is to engage more businesses to locate or expand in the city. And as the city continues to grow, certainly Intel being one factor, but not the only factor, there's a lot of interest in Sunbury as a destination for a lot of things. Some of that includes economic development projects. So I think it's important that the city be able to engage directly with the business that's considering an expansion in the city or location in the city of Sunbury. Without a non-disclosure agreement, a lot of companies are reluctant to engage directly with the community because, as you know, we are subject to the state public records law, and will still be subject to the state public records law even if we enter into these non-disclosure agreements. There just is a process that you go through to determine that whatever is being released is released subject to that state requirement and that the exceptions are protected. So what you have in front of you is a resolution and a document that we've borrowed heavily from other jurisdictions that have used the Delaware County and local jurisdictions or nearby jurisdictions use. So it's not a foreign concept for a public government or public entity to engage in a non-disclosure agreement. The resolution essentially says that I can sign it on behalf of the city, but that really you will also be subject to the non-disclosure requirements as well, because my obligation is to brief you whenever there is a document signed. So we'll figure out a process for doing that going forward. But again, you would also be subject to the non-disclosure aspects as well. So again, most of that will happen in executive session. So you still got the executive session limitations, but just want to make sure that people are aware of that. And as the mayor had indicated, we would like to move on this quickly. We do have interest and think that it would be applicable right away, potentially. So yeah, that's what I'll say, Mayor, unless you're other things you'd like to add.
I'm sorry for the fire drill. We have been working on this for about 2 months. I think we've done a good job addressing these, I guess the question, and really what we're balancing is state public records law and the NDA, and how do we move forward with both. I know Mr. Bream has discussed with other law directors to a degree, other jurisdictions entering into NDAs. The county has a process to enter into NDAs, and there is an urgent need to get this done as soon as possible to allow Mr. Hennessy to start meeting with those companies.
So I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second. A motion to suspend the rules by Mr. Martin, second by Mr. Neff. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Grumley
Yes.
and Mr. Ghost.
Yes.
7 yeas.
Motion on resolution 2023.18.
A motion by Mr. Martin,
Second.
second by Mr. Neff. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mayor St. John.
Yes.
7 yeas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're on to ordinances, third readings, ordinance number 2023.12. An ordinance approving amendments to chapter 139 of Sunbury Codified Ordinances. This is just a standard approval we're looking for. This is the third reading. Motion to approve,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Cooper. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
7 yeas.
I'm going to start reading. I might take a 5-minute recess halfway through this one and then come back. We're on second readings, ordinance number 2023.15, an ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $4 million for the purpose of paying for the cost of improving various city facilities by renovating and equipping the Sunbury Municipal Building and other buildings, including site improvements, any necessary utility improvements, and constructing related parking facilities, together with all necessary appurtenances thereto.
Appurtenances.
Yeah.
Appurtenances.
Of a mirror.
I enunciated it. Every syllable. That's second reading. I just had to take a breath. All right, we are on to first readings. Ordinance number 2023.01.01. First amended, an ordinance amending the 2023 annual appropriations. Ms. Stefan, would you like to come up? Thank you.
Good evening, council. This is the first appropriation adjustment for the 2023 annual appropriations. There are various lines in the budget that need to be appropriated for additional funds due to extra expenses that we weren't anticipating, various reasons. There are many different reasons. Each line item is identified within the whereas sections of the ordinance itself, and a small description of why each item is needed is listed as well, but I'm happy to provide more information if you would like. There is a lot of information behind all these numbers. These weren't arbitrarily chosen. These are based on actual invoices paid and known outstanding invoices that invoices that we just haven't received yet, but know that we are expecting. So.
Are these more like one-offs for this year? Or do we see making adjustments going forward in the future budgets to help you from having to seek this?
Yeah,
again?
ideally, the budget will be refined over time and we could see these before they, build them into the original budget so that this type of thing isn't necessary. However, I will say that in my several years as being a finance director, this is typically something that usually has to happen at least once or twice throughout the year.
Sure. Thank you.
I'm just reading through them quickly. These all seem explainable to me.
I did ask Dana earlier today about one line item there, the 220,000 increase for legal and engineering, and she said 120,000 of was for general engineering related to MS consultants for the parkway planning, CT for various general engineering costs, including stormwater feasibility study and GIS mapping costs. And we paid 25,000 from that line item earlier this year to Dilly's Excavating for the two houses there on South Columbus. And then we had 100,000 slated for legal fees that are expected to come in during the second half of the year. Year to date, we spent 70,000 of the 105 to Squire Patton Boggs for the golf course special assessment, the Martindale property, and some other things. So she expects to surpass the remaining balance within the next 2 to 3 months.
Good summary of the biggest ones for sure. Thank you. Any questions? You need this passed tonight?
No.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Ms. Stefan? Thank you very much. Thank you, Tim. Thank you very much for the summary.
Yeah.
All right, we are on to ordinance number 2023. I scribbled out the numbers at .16.
Yes.
Okay. And ordinance accepting a petition for annexation of territory consisting of 84.97 plus or minus acres of land located in Berkshire Township, Delaware County, known by William R. Rogers II, Lori Lynn Lutz Gazelle, Rich Rogers, trustee replacing William Rogers and Patricia Rogers, both deceased and former trustees of the William Rogers and Patricia Rogers Family Trust. Agreement UTA 7306. Mary Rogers, Trustler, trustee, I'm honestly not sure how to say this, what UA, dated the 14th day of August 2009, and John A. Rogers, and declaring an emergency. We're looking to do 3 readings on this. Just catching my breath. Ordinance number 2023.17, an ordinance accepting a petition for annexation of territory consisting of 84.932 plus or minus acres of land located in Berkshire Township, Delaware County, and owned by AEP Ohio Transmission Company, Inc., and declaring an emergency. Also 3 readings. We're on to new and unfinished business, and I'd like to go around the horn, if I may. Can I start with Murray Neff and then we'll go to the scheduled items? Mr. Martin.
I just wanted to thank Nancy Crawford for doing such an amazing job of making Sunbury a great place to be on the 4th of July.
There you go.
Thank you for all you did yesterday.
I saw you running around the day before the 4th of July. I'm literally running across the square.
I include leading up to yesterday.
I was trying to yell. I was like, hey, Nancy, do you need anything? And you were just outpacing me. Thank you.
Well, I was gonna
Thank you,
say
Nancy.
something similar. I don't know if our residents really realize that the 4th of July is put on by the Big Walnut Civic Association, which is run by 3 people. And the Big Walnut Chamber currently has one employee. Now, they had help. I'm not gonna say they didn't have sign up geniuses, and I begged you all to share them and stuff. They had help, but that event, what time did it start? In the morning? What time was it open to the public? 8 a.m. until about 10:45. There was stuff going on, and it was basically put on by 4 people. And I think, so on one hand, I want to say, that's awesome. You're awesome. Thank you. And then on the other hand, I want to say, maybe we can look at that and see, like, and I know there's going to be a post-event meeting, but I feel like, how can the city help with that? Can we help in another way? Can we help with some sort of communication with the public or registrations for things? Because we've got the public, we have all these new folks coming in, and they're just confused. They're like, what is an old middle school, high school, whatever they're saying? What is an old high school? Like, why are we communicating like that? And I'm getting phone calls and emails and Facebook messages from people saying, I'm on the city's website. I don't see how to register for the parade, because they're new and they don't know to go to a Big Walnut Civic Association. So I'm just wondering, maybe as we move forward, how can we help facilitate these projects and work collaboratively? I don't want to take things away from the Civic or the Chamber. I just want to make it easier. It just seems like I don't know, what would your guess be, Wade, on how many people? I mean, tons and tons and tons of people here falling on the shoulders of 4 people. It just seems, and we have with our staff and our police department and our council, and I just feel like we can probably do better next year. I feel like we can fix some mistakes and we can work together, and I think it was great. I don't mean to sound like it wasn't. I just feel like it was a lot of work on a few people. And I feel like let's collaborate a little more and help.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can be, we can always do better as a conduit of information. I just want to make sure that we're staying in our lane. Everybody stays in their lane. That's really clear to understand, but we need to do a better job. I don't know, put the registration link on our webpage. I think we shared every single thing that was shared.
Share as much.
I mean, you can only share so much, but I mean, also, I don't want to belittle the effort that the city did do. So we provided entire police coverage, the emergency management services, traffic control, including wastewater treatment plant employees, services employees, and administrative staff. So even though they had 4 folks, mostly volunteer, except for Nancy.
Right.
But we literally had 20 people. Almost every single person that's employed by the city was working yesterday. So thank you.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
Also, like trash pickup, equipment loan. I mean, all those things. It's a team effort, 100%. With all that said, everybody's, not just yours, everybody's got reactions. What can we do better? That's a good way to look at it. But we got something special here. Like it's a very, very special day for a lot of people that don't know the intricacies behind the scene. And I think for the most part, those 4 individuals plus the city staff do an amazing job facilitating like such a great day and a great weekend. So thank you very much.
We may offend a few people, though, referring to them by the ton. Tons and tons of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I would estimate maybe 6,000 to 7,000 people. I don't know if somebody else has a tighter estimate than that for the parade like that. So the parade in the short after festivities and vendors and everything, it seemed like in the thousands of people.
Well, yeah.
We were waiting longer this time. The parade was over. We were done with the parade. I think we were third or fourth in the parade. This was the longest time I've ever been in the parade and it hadn't started yet. It was like a 20-minute. The tail hadn't started yet and we were done. That was wild. But great job. Does anybody else want to weigh in on that? Because I think it's, or do we want to take a minute, over the next week or so to digest? Literally. Good feedback. All right, anything else?
I didn't mean to come across like I wasn't appreciative. I just feel like
No, you didn't.
we can just do better. Like, I think all the great things we did, and then how can we do better
I agree.
and help? I really just want to help, but I feel like it's just sort of truncated. Like, we're all doing different things. And I want to have more of a collaborative, like, we're staying in our lane, but we're totally aware of what our lane is and they're aware of what their lane is. And we're all working together.
Right. Yeah.
So that we don't have folks doing things that aren't their job or their responsibility, and everybody's aware of what they should be doing.
Right. The events committee, I assume, will be discussing this in more detail and we'll bring back recommendations for
We'll
next year.
see. I talked to Daryl and he said he's gonna loop me in on the post meeting that the police and civic are gonna have. And then I assume that will happen before our events committee. So I don't think it's a rush to get it to events since we have a year, but it will get there, and we'll get civics feedback, we'll get PD's feedback, we'll get chambers feedback. There's been public feedback
Right.
on what can be done better. So we'll loop that in, especially when it comes to safety, and
Definitely.
it's getting big, and I just want to make sure that we're doing it right. We're doing it safe, and
Right.
we're not overwhelming any one person
Agree.
or 4 people.
Agree.
Mhm.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Do you have anything, Mr. Kaplan?
Nothing here except a great fourth.
Yeah, awesome.
I'd just like to recognize the gentleman that spoke here earlier tonight about bringing his children to the parade and your 2-year-old son having a blast. And when we talk about, big city versus small city and the small time feel and stuff, I think bringing in new residents to have that experience is what we're talking about, right? Being able to share the community that we have with others and still have that square and that small town feel. I know there's a lot of people, but what a connection, and like what a way to enjoy the community and the city, an event like that, and have new people experience it and then come here and say what a great experience it was for their 2-year-old. And it will be for your 5-year-old and your 8-year-old and your 10-year-old. So, I mean, I think that's what this is all about. And I think all the planning that you guys are talking about and all the concerns, are we growing too fast or not? That can be debated, but I don't think what can be debated is that we're still providing that connection to the community for residents. And I'm so glad for you to say that and be here tonight. So thank you for that. Yeah. I just also want to thank Daryl, who was also busy directing traffic for the 4th of July. I mean, yeah, no orange vest or any badge, but he was still handling himself pretty well. So I saw a couple people try to get past you, and I've never seen it. It's not a pretty thing. The vein on your forehead gets large.
Thank you, Mr. Gold.
I named Commissioner Benton tried to get through it. Around the balance. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grumney. Mr. Ghost?
I did hear that through the grapevine that the Ohio Fallen Heroes Memorial Group was awarded $25,000.
Did we get that? Did we as?
I mean, I remember you referencing, I hadn't heard anything back from Steve.
I bumped into Mr. Rogers,
Okay.
Frank Rogers. And he indicated that it was passed apparently a day or 2 ago.
Okay, we'll have Daryl maybe do a little bit of follow up on that. We thought that was coming, but didn't have concrete passage yet. Okay,
You sure?
great.
That's it.
Excellent. I do have one thing. There was an aggregation mailing that went out recently.
Had a couple calls on that.
I've had a couple calls as well. It doesn't say on the outside of the envelope from the city of Sunbury or reference the city of Sunbury. So I honestly, I think I threw mine away, probably. I just thought it was another promotional thing trying to sell me another mortgage or something. So I know we've discussed this in the past, at least from previous councils. I would know Tim and Dave and maybe Dave Green would maybe recall that we've talked about this in the past. I think any time that we have a vendor mailing on our behalf, it has to have Sunbury all over, like the logo from the city of Sunbury, something on behalf of whatever. I think even in the letter itself, and I proofread the letter, shame on me. I read it being a councilman, mayor, like, okay, yeah, this says what it needs to say. I didn't really read it from the residents' perspective. So I should have done better. But we need to just make that really clear. Like if we have to pass a resolution or ordinance to just make sure nothing goes out communicating to our residents that's not saying it's from the city of Sunbury, like we've got to put an end to that. I think residents are confused right now. It's all for the good too. It's just, it's not clear.
Yeah, and bottom line is for anyone listening, if you want to opt in, which we suggest you do. We
Actually opted in.
We-
Do you want to hit on this?
Yeah, feel like we got a great rate and you do nothing if you want to opt in.
There you go. Okay, cool.
What you throw that item in the trash and you're in.
Right. There you go. Yeah. Did anybody else get that?
Yeah.
I did too, and you're right, it didn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't obvious what it was.
Second. Good deal. All right, that's all I had. Thank you, Nancy. I saw you hustling, literally. And thank you. I hope you're getting an assistant soon. That will help. I can talk to a few people for you. That's all I had. We do have a couple of scheduled new and unfinished business items. City Council Strategic Planning Consensus Document. Mr. Hennessy.
Yeah, so just same draft as it was last time. Haven't made any changes to it. So again, when council's ready, if that's tonight, great, just pass it. All it does is again just kind of attempts to capture the spirit of the discussion and provides direction to staff on where to prioritize its efforts. If you're not ready to do it not tonight, that's fine. We can do it next meeting.
Any discussion? We did discuss this in our last meeting. Mr. Hennessy's put this, and I think this is its second and final format.
Yes.
And I think made it easy to interpret what we really need to focus on. Are we ready to do a motion of support? Is that what you're looking for, Mr.
Yeah,
Hennessy?
I mean, if council is comfortable, I'm ready.
I think we're just approving our own words that Mr. Hennessy typed.
I'll make that motion.
We got a motion by Councilwoman Cooper. Second by Mr. Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Capel?
Yes.
Mr. Gross?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mayor St. John?
Yes.
Mr. Griffey?
Yes.
7 yeas.
Thank you. You got a guiding star.
Do.
All right, 2023 street program, construction, administration, and inspection services.
So this is a little bit different. So let me explain what we're doing here. So as the mayor mentioned, we've signed the documents with the OPWC. We're about ready to begin the construction phase of the street improvement program. As with all of these programs, there's a design and planning aspect to that. CT has done all of the planning and design work, and that was what was submitted to OPWC. But there's also a construction and management and inspection component as well. So once the project begins, we need to engage somebody to look out for the city's best interest, to make sure that the design is installed as agreed and that the contractor is doing what they've committed to do in terms of the specifications. So we did reach out to a couple of contractors, trying to engage somebody to maybe separate the duties of the planning and design from the construction management and inspection. We're kind of testing this model. This is really the first test at that. And so what you've got in front of you is a request to do that from DLZ. This is a firm that the city of Delaware uses. And maybe the county, does the county use them as well?
Everybody is.
Everybody's using them. There you go. Thank you. It's for not to exceed $38,400 and some odd dollars. Will be billed the actual costs associated with that. That's for on-site inspection while the road improvement project is being done. It also has a testing element as well, just to ensure that the quality of the materials that they're using and the quantity, again, meets the specs that were outlined originally by CT. So with that, basically asking if council's comfortable with it, to authorize staff to engage in an agreement. We do still need to work through the agreement with DLZ a little bit. There's a little bit of legal work that we still want to do on that, but with that condition, if council's comfortable, we'd appreciate that support tonight.
Ready to move forward?
It's from beginning to end, not to exceed 38,000.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we've indicated a 4-week project on site. Again, we'll have a pre-construction meeting. We'll spell out the schedule in more detail. If this does require some refinement, we'll do that at that point. But anything that would adjust the price, we'll be back to talk to you about that.
This has all been appropriated, part of the streets program, something we've been planning for.
Thank you.
Great. I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Gross,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Capel
Yes.
and Mr. Neff.
Yes.
7 yeas.
Right, we are on the Sunbury Parkway District Plan and update for council, and you should be seeing these a little bit more frequently here on out.
Exactly. I've included in the packet, I don't have the final version of this. These were sent out by our consultant, MS Consultants, helping us with the Sunbury Parkway District level plan. Again, as a reminder, ODOT is doing the alignment. The district plan is really looking at the uses, the design, the elements, the materials, the look and feel of the parkway itself. So there will be 2 community meetings coming up, and that's what this document spells out. The first one will be here at the city building, or the town hall building, next Wednesday, July 12th, 4 to 6 p.m. And then we'll do a virtual meeting the following week, Thursday, July 18th, with the link right there. There is an online survey that residents can take, basically ask them to, some questions about the city of Sunbury, but most of it is really focused on what it is they're looking for out of the parkway itself. At the public meeting, the consultant will be bringing a conceptual plan to share with the residents for them to react to. There will be an opportunity for the group. They'll get an initial presentation and then an opportunity for kind of a workshop where they'll look at images and they'll assign what they like, don't like about these images to the various phases of the parkway. And by phases, I mean kind of what portion of the parkway is closest to the old town, what portion we talked about from a steering committee perspective that's really a little bit more transitional in nature, and then that portion of the parkway that's out near the interstate. So again, an opportunity for them to identify the look and feel of what they want, the density, the kind of the scale of the buildings, the types of uses, like I said. So anyway, 2 of those opportunities coming up here in the next couple of weeks.
Can you say those dates again?
Yeah.
So July 12th.
On the last page.
Next Wednesday. Yeah, it is on the last page.
You did say 4 to 6, but this says 6 to 8.
6 to 8. Oh, I'm sorry. I said
is
4 to 6. Sorry. Yeah. July 12th, 6 to 8 p.m. here at Town Hall.
Okay.
Has that been advertised yet?
It's going up tomorrow morning.
Okay,
So
so that's
we're
not
gonna-
very much time.
We're going to do that, but there's a mailing that's supposed to have gone out to every
I got it.
resident.
Anybody else? Did anybody else get this postcard? The only version
Yeah, I
got
got
that-
it. I got it
It
a
looks
couple.
exactly like this QR code and the colorful. And I got it probably 3 days ago.
Okay.
I received it a couple days ago also.
Yeah. So a mailing should go to every resident in Sunbury, encouraging them to participate in one of these 2 meetings. And we're still going to take public comment after that. The survey will remain open until or feedback will continue to be received through the balance of the month, through all of July. So even if you can't make it to the meeting, there's still an opportunity to provide public feedback. In August, I would expect the steering committee will be pulled back together. We'll review what happened at the public meetings, talk a little bit more about the concept, and then figure out kind of where we go from there. All right.
Questions for staff, comments? Any other new or unfinished business? Anyone?
Oh, I did want to say thank you to Joey Thomas. Did y'all see those pictures?
Great job.
Very like iconic, very beautiful. You did a great job.
Yes.
He worked pretty hard. When that was an all day job there.
It
He
was.
did great. So thank you, Joey Thomas.
He wasn't even sweating. How is he doing? He had a long sleeve on that thing.
Is he wearing city
Yeah, he
kind of
was.
shirt?
Oh,
for the
look
city?
good too.
Okay.
Good shirt.
Yeah.
Nice thing. Good. I feel bad. We didn't call him Mr. Breen for anything tonight.
Feel bad.
It's a good day when you don't have to talk to your attorney.
It's all that pre-work. Thank you. Thank you to Mr. Breen and his staff and support folks. All right, with that said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Second by Councilwoman Cooper. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Gross,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
And Mr. Martin.
Yes.
7 yeas, we are adjourned at 8:41.